I'm Greg Willett. I'm with the Office of Aging and Disabled Citizens. I'm Disability and Access Coordinator.
And then virtually we'll go with Regina.
Hello, everyone. I am Regina. I am a community advocate and a past chairman of the TAC Council for TARC.
So we'll go with Jennifer next.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Miles, Director of Mobility Services with TARC.
And Lisa.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Lisa Harris with HL Access. I'm also the Transportation Subcommittee lead, on the commission.
Thank you all. And David.
Yeah.
And you're on mute. You're on mute.
Just power for the course for the meeting, David.
Brand new computer. David Rice, formerly of Berrytown Adaptive Inclusive Recreation Center, and as of this morning, South Louisville Community Center. So I've been moved to a new community center starting today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The virgin part of town from one end to the other.
Yeah, that's and the irony is I have to go out there for a meeting tomorrow. So what was a 10-minute drive is now going to be a 40-minute drive.
Kiera.
Hi, my name is Kiera James, and I'm the founder and executive director of an organization called Pushing Forward.
Eddie.
Hey, hello, good evening. Thank you all so much for allowing me to join. Hetty Bailey, the Office of Housing and Community Development, Client Services Administrator.
And Scott or Councilman Reed.
Hello, I'm Scott Reed, 60th District Metro Councilman, and I apologize for logging in late. I was having technical issues. Glad to be here.
That seems to be a common theme among all of us, so you're A-okay with that one. So thanks everyone who's here in person and virtually for attending the meeting today. Again, I'm filling in for Dia. She's got a personal thing that she's taking care of. And we're going to do our subcommittee updates. And we will start off with transportation and Lisa.
Well, thank you again, Greg. And here we are, transportation. Well, we didn't meet over the summer a bit. Everybody's been pretty spread out. But I do have an update of a program that's happening in the Portland and Northwestern area of town. And it's called the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program. And what it is there is an interest to improve neighborhood connections to the riverfront. I'm not sure if any of you have heard about this project, but it's pretty huge. And what it is that it would benefit the community the most by giving access to the neighborhood over here in Portland in the West End, where I'm currently the district chair of District 43. So we've been having meetings. I'm also a part of Portland Now as a member of that organization. And we have been talking with the group, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, about this new project. And they're looking for people to come in and suggest or make recommendations on how this can be pushed forward, and to also help with getting ideas on how to maintain it, because there are some parts of it that has legs under it and they're interested in putting it together, but they're more concerned about who would maintain if there's, say, for instance, any improvements to the off ramp at 64 into the Portland area, or that area where sometimes there's flooding and things like that. So they're trying to work that and identify the needs in those areas to engage in ensuring that that would be taken care of, and what the stakeholders will have to say about those improvements and supporting those. I did talk with a gentleman named Nicholas from the cabinet today, and he was also very concerned about those that may have disabilities that would need access, and was interested in my input. And I would like to invite him to the commission to speak about it, or one of his colleagues. So that's what I have to update us on. And if anybody has any questions, you can reach me by email or by phone if you want to hear more about the project.
This is Ally. Can you repeat the name of the project one more time?
Sure, Ally. It is called Reconnecting Communities Pilot RCP program.
Thank you, Lisa. Does anyone have any questions for Lisa?
You're welcome.
Hearing none, we'll move on to John with his report on education and employment.
All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody, especially our folks joining virtually. We had a great meeting when our group met on July 2nd, which feels like a long time ago, but in between meetings, it really wasn't that long ago. We had a really good meeting. Couple of things to just kind of recap that meeting. We're certainly in a period of transition. I think many of you know Donna used to kind of serve as the unofficial lead of that committee. And so we had a really good conversation about how to balance honoring, her legacy and really making this committee one that had some teeth on it in terms of work that we did, while also acknowledging the fact that we just need more members on this subcommittee. And so this is I hope my voice sounds very good today as I lay on my radio voice invitation for everybody that's listening online. You have any interest in joining a group where I'd say where we are right now is we're in the convening phase of our group, but we're really trying to figure out what's the best use of our time and talents. And so we brainstormed some pretty good ideas, everything from how do we get more volunteers to kind of show up in public facing events. We can kind of just spread more awareness that our commission exists and so we can be like a convener in terms of education, letting people know what other resources are available in the city. Or do we want to pivot and just focus a little bit more on continuing showing the Crip Camp film and other things, but make it more about education as opposed to advocacy? So literally right now, our committee, I think, is in an inflection point where based on the interests of those who join the subcommittee, it will very much dictate our next steps as a committee. We had 4 people join us that morning for the meeting, and I can tell you right now that with the 4 of us, have more ideas than what we're actually physically capable of doing. And so I'm giving this really good invitation to join the party. And the things that as chair, I will share with this group that I share with the committee, I'm really good on planning and executing. I'm just not the greatest in terms of human capital as someone relatively new to the city. So whether that be in terms of, generally speaking, for subcommittees I lead, I'm not a big fan of inviting people on a subcommittee who aren't a part of the bigger committee, because sometimes you have challenges with accountability there. But my colleagues gave me a good, different opinion. And they talked about, especially in our work, we want to highlight, folks who are living with different abilities. It's really important for us to have representation from people who may be able to come support an event while not necessarily serving on the broader community. So I'm open to having more bodies join this subcommittee. So again, I will just close this portion of my remarks by saying, if you have any interest in joining the subcommittee, please reach out to Greg and he can get it to me, or you can just email me directly. And we'll type my email address in the chat, but it's John, JOHN, .Miller, the number 8 at Louisville.edu. While I have the Metro Board's email account, as we were talking about in an off the camera conversation, I just have some challenges sometimes getting the 2 Microsoft Office systems to agree with each other. And so it's a whole lot easier to contact me directly through my university email at john.miller.8 at Louisville.edu. That being said, I just sent out a doodle poll this morning to our subcommittee requesting dates for our next meeting, which is actually going to be this month since we've gotten off schedule. So we do need to meet again before the next meeting. And so I've already set out some dates. And so if you would like to be included on the doodle poll list, please shoot me an email. I put out 20 different dates between now and end of the month, so there should be a lot of diversity in terms of time. But I hope you can tell from my voice, we're just looking for energy. We're looking for folks who, I threw out some ideas that I literally had people almost throw me away in one meeting. Where I said some things like, hey, let's go out to Waterfront Wednesday. Like, how hard would it be for us to request a table for a Waterfront Wednesday, which is a community event that I know draws a lot of people, and then have us be there as a conveyor of information. And we could share other resources to people in the community that they may not know about it. So I'm big on how do we use our subcommittee as an inflection to promote all the other things that are happening in the city. Since we have limited resources, to me, that's one direct way we can kind of increase our impact as a subcommittee. But to that end, certainly even those of us who are on the committee said, hey, John, that sounds well and good and all, but I'm not sitting out there for 4 hours on a hot Wednesday. And so I recognize that for us to really kind of grow to our full capacity as a subcommittee, we'll need to rely on different strengths. I happen to not mind sitting places or standing places for a couple hours because that's a great way for me to be able to sell, but I have to know what to sell. And so admittedly, as someone still relatively new to our community, I think that one thing our committee could do, and our subcommittee in particular, is be a convener. And so we even discussed in that meeting, and Dia was there, she talked about some of the limitations, but I envision a future where our subcommittee is even kind of like I don't want to call it like a one-stop shop, but if you searched online for this commission, could we create eventually a sublink, a link to this subcommittee where we just had community options available, community events available. So we're trying to put ourselves in a position as a community resident who want to reach out to our group, what value could we have? And I think that one kind of easy fish in the barrel availability we could do is just be a convener of different activities and things that are happening in the community, and then letting those groups know they can reach out to us as a place that will be a sharer of information. So again, I've spoken a little too long for a brief report, but I just wanted to give you all a full-throated invitation to join me in the fearsome foursome.
Is that, can you see that? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you. John.miller.8@louisville.edu.
.8, okay.
.8. Sorry, that's stretching the limits of my I have these new lenses. I've reached the point now where I can't just have one lens. I think I got trifocals now. And my lenses, I have a hard time seeing that far away, admittedly.
This is Allie again. I will offer up, Greg and I do a fair amount of tabling. As part of our job, we are outreach specialists. So what I think we definitely could do is there are some general events that we go to that are geared towards aging and disabled, or that we have paid maybe a tabling fee to go to some of the larger events. And maybe it's up to Greg and I to share with the commission, hey, we're going to this event. If someone from the commission wants to tag along as an extra volunteer to answer any questions that may come up about the commission, because we do take information on the commission and mention it at tabling events. We also hand out general resources and other things, but as a metro issued commission, I think that would be applicable to have, because we'll have a metro clock and stuff like that. So maybe then it would break it up a little bit, so that might be something that maybe we can share a couple upcoming dates. I know I'm going to a health fair soon. It's starting to be tabling season, so there's a pretty large health fair coming up. I know there's a neuroscience expo that's coming up that's all levels of neuro issues. So we're talking Parkinson's, MS, some migraine disorders, dementia, that sort of thing. We could get some people there, TBIs. So that might be a step in the right direction as far as spreading the word.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's exactly what we need, right? Like, for instance, I'd like to be in positions to where when people feel our fire, they want to join this team, right? So even in terms of our community outreach, I'm thinking back to the last CRIP camp screening we had, where we had some members of the community who were part of the panel discussion. I'd love to have more participation, but finding out a way in terms of how do we best leverage it. So I guess I'm sharing it as the chair of that committee. I'm sharing our challenge with the larger groups who can even help us think through it. But I think it's really important for that subcommittee as we begin to kind of pivot to literally, if we're going to be a resource, I want us to define the resource that we're being for the commission, right? So if our resource value right now in our limited capacity is that at a minimum, we can be a source of getting information to others, then I think we should lean into that. However, if that can grow into, we're going to host one big education conference a year, where we bring in people and then we kind of convene. Again, I'm just pointing to, I think, our greatest short-term and potentially long-term strength for that subcommittee would be how we convene information and how we get it to the public. And then, we even had some conversations during that meeting about how much access does this commission have in terms of getting on the mayor's radar to let him know about certain issues. I wasn't prepared to speak about that since I'm kind of new in this role, but I gave it to the group to think about. When people think about having a commission and then having a subcommittee, I think the last thing that many of us want is to be on a by name only committee. And so that's just what we're kind of trying to tease out right now as a group. How do we honor education and employment subcommittee, but then how do we make it something tangible that is of value both to the commission and to the city? And I'll be quiet. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks for the time. Later.
Anybody want to add anything or ask any questions?
I'm not above bribing. So usually I can send popcorn, candy, just let me know whatever's optional to join the committee, all right? We have a good time.
Good deal. Sounds like a fun damn time to me, though. Come on. Any questions or anything? Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Great report, John.
I'm good. I'm doing thumbs up. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm giving big thumbs up. Thank you.
All right, so now housing and visibility. We met briefly and discussed housing, and we were sharing some issues about the Oscar Manor relocation and hoping and making sure that those individuals that had mobility issues were going to be able to obtain units that were accessible when they relocate and they rebuild. The general idea right now, from the last that I heard, was that the old First Link supermarket across from Oscar Manor, that whole block or half block will be housing for aging and disabled individuals. So, and I have no idea how many stories that might be, but we're hoping that that will be truly accessible, all of the units, and that hopefully they'll do some improvements on the infrastructure, on the sidewalks and around some of that stuff. We also discussed about trying to get, again, with the builders, to try to educate builders about universal design and how easy and how more inclusive and how truly you could age in place and how beneficial that would be for everyone in our community. We believe we could get that at least a dialogue started between those individuals that create the housing and those who might be able to actually move in a fully aging in place home, which would be beneficial, I think, to everyone. And then how can we, again, create a dialogue with the current administration on what steps could be taken to encourage, Jill, everyone, again, either carrot or stick process to get builders to build more age-friendly, universal design homes, and what can the administration help us with, and maybe even how do they see, or what could we get from them, and how could we increase the number of units required to be accessible. And I think that's going to go back into the state building code. And we talked about maybe even having to address our state legislators into maybe changing the building code to make that process obtainable so that we can create a more higher standard for the number of required accessible units when it comes to HUD and other federally funded housing projects. But if anyone else that was in that would like to comment, I would be more than happy to hear those comments.
Like I'm talking a lot. Just so you know, tomorrow there is a listening session about the future of Oscar Manor going on at 600 South 7th Street. It says that LMHA United building. I'm not familiar with that exact building, but it's 1 to 3 p.m. tomorrow, and it's a listening session about the future of the campus. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'll screenshot. It was posted on the mayor's social medias last week. I have something else during that time, so I can't go, but I'll share it.
With the group?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. I think they're looking for former residents because there was a deadline to get some transportation help there for, I think, people who might have previously lived there, been moved out, but that deadline's passed for transportation. But I think for community members, advocates that, transportation is an issue, I think it's still open.
Well, so you'll receive that if you all would like to try to comment about the Oscar Manor.
Because I'd love to hear from someone that can go, because I can't go.
I don't think that I'm going to be able to either. So our last would be Regina Ostertag with discussing public spaces, events, and awareness. You are on mute, Regina, if you're talking.
There we go. Yeah, we had a meeting on the 21st of July. We contacted Louisville Metro Parks Department to have him come to the subcommittee meeting and then bring his information and possibly him coming to the commission. He did not show up. So we're going to try again to bring somebody from Metro Parks in to discuss accessibility in all the Metro Parks. We also one of the members brought a checklist of accessibility issues for all types of events, the ease of accessibility, the parking. And so we have this checklist that's rather long. So the next meeting we will be trying to make it more portable, more easy to use, and possibly pass that out to anybody that's going to any events or public spaces. So we do have that. We have that list, and we're going to be working on being able to hand it out for people to use. The third issue was, again, Kentucky State Fair, which is in a couple of weeks. We got the list of who's on the fair board and who would be best to contact. The issues concerning the state fair are where TARC 3 drops off at and the confusion and communication surrounding where the drivers are actually dropping off people, because as right now there's only one official drop-off place for TARC 3, which is back in the horse barns, which is a good distance away from where people can reach, where they can rent the scooters and so on and so forth, which is out by the front of Kentucky Kingdom. And it's a really, really long walk from the back of the East Hall and the horse barns to go through the fair and all the way out there to receive chances of opportunities for accessible pathways into the fair. Another issue is that the private parking, which is for accessible vehicles, which is by the entrance to Kentucky Kingdom, it's not long enough, it's not wide enough, and there's not enough spaces to accommodate the amount of people that use private transportation to the fair. So what we'll be doing in the next, I mean, it's too late to reach anybody this year, but so we will be contacting the fair board and hopefully bring in a communication with TARC 3 on the one issue and to develop a better parking space for private issues for next year in 2026. Then we were also discussing parking in general, and she's got spaces are smaller, no signs about not parking in the striped areas. So side entrance vehicles parking spots are not large enough. The following, these were found but not in large quantities, was looking for, so we're looking for cards and Post-it notes for people to use when someone parks in illegally, and people that currently have those Post-it notes or Post-it notes are Cal, Superior Van, and Mobility, and Liz Fust. So we're looking for other areas where we could place these Post-it notes. The next meeting will be for public spaces and events will be September 22 between 3 and 4 o'clock. And we also want to invite any more commission members onto this particular subcommittee.
Oh, so can you repeat that, Regina?
We are inviting anybody else, either commission or non-commission members, to join the subcommittee for public spaces and events.
And the date
When
will
was,
be,
when was the
Well,
date?
the date for the next meeting is September 22nd between 3 and 4 o'clock p.m.
well, Greg will send that out to everyone because he's a great guy.
Okay, and I also want to remind people that Music in the Park, the next one is August 14th at the Barnsley Mormon Park, and September 11th in Petersburg Park will be the music festival. It's usually on the second Thursday of the month. So there'll be 2 more of those events coming up.
If you come to the Barnsley Mormon, you'll get to meet Allie and Greg.
Mhm.
We'll be at one of the tables. So
Yeah, look at us now.
And when you're talking about Regina, the fair, they never have enough side loading vehicle spots either, which basically is 2 spots for those private or personal people who drive their personal vehicles. They never have enough of those either. So that's another issue. And when Regina was talking about the post-it notes, there's little post-it notes that you can keep in your vehicle. And when you see someone parked in the strike line or halfway in the strike line, access aisle, should I say, which prevents me or Greg, we have a side loading ramp that comes out and we need that extra space to be able to get out of there. You can put it on their windows and hopefully gently remind them that they're doing the wrong thing and breaking the law. So, and I don't know if we have any left down at the Center for Accessible Living or not. So, but we can get some more, obtain them. So FYI. And then Allie, you had a question?
Yeah, this is Ally again. Sorry to talk through this whole meeting. But the checklist you spoke of, we will need to get that approved, but we can't put out anything out into the community or use anything that maybe mentions the commission without getting some approval first. So if Regina, you could send it to me and Sarah and Greg, or if you don't have access to it, have Dia send it to us, just so that we can lay eyes on it and make sure we're not misrepresenting ourselves in any way before we put that into circulation or use. I would appreciate it.
Do you want me to send it to you as is now, or what, shall we condense it or get your input as we're condensing it?
If you could send it to me now, just so we have an idea of what the idea is, and then any final version will need to get approval. But if you want to send it to me now, just so I can see what your ideas and thoughts are and make sure that they're okay with that. We'll talk with Althea, who manages all the boards and commissions, and make sure that she's good with it. But send it to us now. And then work on it, and then send us the final too.
Will do.
We also know that, AARP has a similar document that we've used on walk audits and that sort of thing. So, it's possible.
Volunteer event accessibility site assessment checklist. And it's it's an 8 by 11, both sides.
So what this is, it's probably based off a document. One of our volunteer programs at OSS is an AmeriCorps grant, and each of our volunteer sites for that AmeriCorps grant must meet certain accessibility guidelines. So it's probably based off that form. So, just send me what you all shared, and then get some information on the page of what you all would like to see, and I'm sure we can make something. We just need to make sure we're representing the commission correctly and not putting wording in there that would be misleading or anything like that. But I think it should be good, but I got to check with higher up people to make sure that's in line with our bylaws and all that jazz.
Okay, well, Dia has the
downloadable.
Dia has the downloadable one, and I'll get with Dia to have her send it to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Regina. Appreciate it.
I had a question, Mr. Chair, for Regina, please.
Yes, sir.
Who are you talking to, Regina, in parks?
Well, I have it down here somewhere.
Was it Ben Johnson, Regina?
Yes. Or I think Dia contacted. I went over to Treville because I live right across from Joe Creason. So I went over that one day and I just got all the business cards they had out on the reception desk, and I texted them to Dia. So she sent an email out to everyone I had a business card for. So there's like 5 people. And I believe Ben Johnson is the one that said he would be at the committee meeting and didn't show up.
Okay.
I wouldn't swear to that, but
Would you do me a favor? You have my email address. Just send me a note and I will send it off to Jason Carnell and copy Nicole George and make sure that they get back in touch with us.
I sure will. Thank you. I will do that.
Not a problem.
Regina, I've had several conversations with Jason over the last 2 months. So yeah, well, I definitely think he would come to, he would come or have somebody come to the meeting. So yeah,
We will follow up on
Scott
that.
Reed is in that. So that's good.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, Regina. Appreciate that collaboration. Any other comments or questions for Regina? If not, we'll go on to new business and announcements. If anyone has any of those. Wouldn't be Allie, would it?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's Allie again. Just want to say Greg and I put out the newest version of the Office for Aging Disabled Citizens Resource Guide. It hasn't been updated since last July. We weren't able to do it in January. I was still on maternity leave. So a new version of that exists on our webpage. Happy to send everybody the link. Greg will send it out when he sends the minutes. It is structured. We switched the structuring around a little bit, added an index to make it easier to find certain listings. And as always, there's a few new and updated pieces of information in there, but just want to share that went out on Friday. So that is available now.
And that's a great piece of resource to have. It's really informational, and I highly recommend that you all get it and look at it and use it, because it really does help inform you about a lot of services that you might not be available or not be aware of that are available to the community. So very helpful. Any other announcements?
I had a conversation with Dia before she left, and we're thinking, of course, we don't typically have a September meeting because it falls right on Labor Day, but we're thinking maybe it'd be a good time to, sometime that month meet about bylaws and try to make some changes to those. Those haven't been touched since basically it started. One of the things that we're struggling with, we will be struggling with, is at the end of 27, we're going to lose 3/4 of the members of the board. Of course, some of those can flip over, but we'd really like to get it where it's balanced, so that, we're losing 2 or 3 a year instead of 7 or 8 at once. So that's one of the things. And then, like the committee, the makeups of the subcommittees, those sorts of things might be something we would address on that. And of course, that would be left up to you all. But she thought she likes that idea, would like to have that meeting. So if you're interested, let me know. And then we can send out like a doodle poll or something like that to find the right days, a good day to meet in September. So that would be, obviously not mandatory in any way. So, but if you want to volunteer on that, we would love to have you. But that's, yeah. And then I just was going to add, I don't have any public comments from the last time. So unless there's any of you all have any other additional comments for David.
So be on the lookout for an email, a couple emails from Greg, and then particularly the one about the bylaws, because it is true. It's time to update that, and so any help would be greatly appreciated. There are no other announcements or questions, comments. Then we will
Lisa's typing something.
adjourn the meeting because can't call the vote because we don't have a quorum. So we're going to adjourn the meeting, and thanks everyone who attended virtually and in person. We greatly appreciate it. Keep out for email. Watch out for emails. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, David. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Do it.
Now that Ally quit questioning all the dang questions.